Sup, welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me I have some more RPG horror stories. Streaming plans. I'm thinking we're gonna start streaming probably somewhere mid-December or late December. There's still a lot of things I want to take care of before I do any sort of streaming on this channel. I do intend to stream something and vary up the content a little bit other than just RPG horror stories only. Anyway, once I have everything taken care of, I'll announce the first day when we can have a proper stream and begin my VTuber journey. I apparently got a stream to be a VTuber, so I need to get that accomplished at some point before the year ends. Anyway, let's get to the first RPG horror story for today. A player and DM calls me a griefer when I accidentally yoinked a trap. One-shot homebrew 5e D&D. So there's a crypt and there's 6 of us. Above the party is a bundle of robes hanging from a dark ceiling. Naturally, my 8 intelligence of a character will think it's probably something hidden above, so he wants to pull it down. Mind you, I even asked the party if I should pull the rope, and the cleric even cast guidance to roll athletics to jump high and reach it. Only then when the DM described that it was a trap and everyone panicked and kept asking if they could stop my character from pulling the rope, DM said no. So boom, a creature fell from it, and now we have a deadly encounter, and someone nearly died. Only I didn't pass him my inspiration, which allowed him to save against its deadly effects. Suffice to say, we won against it. But then some players kept lecturing me about how the rogue should do it instead of you. Like, bro, you and the others had 20 full seconds even asking them in character if I should do it. No one batted an eyelash throughout the whole time, and not to mention guidance too. After the session, DM even told me what I did was very annoying and frowned upon. How am I supposed to know if it's a trap? For all I know and care, the ropes must be an object or stash that previously raiders or adventurers try to pull, but fail along the way. Did I just get told off for not metagaming? The hell? Edit. The objective of the party was to clear the crypt of the horrors that lurked within to stop troubling a nearby town. You know, this is a really difficult one because, yeah, you pulled the rope, but you double check with everybody else like, hey, should I pull the rope? And nobody stopped you. Nobody said, no, don't pull the rope. And cleric even cast guidance so you can pull the rope even better. And nobody recommended, hey, maybe they have the rogue investigate the rope and stuff. Nobody did any of that. The player shouldn't have pulled the rope, but like they checked ahead of time and they were encouraged as well. If you check ahead of time and you encourage, like everybody just throw the player under the bus. Anyway, that's kind of a funny, silly story. But let's get to the next story for today. D&D player accuses everyone of being a pedo in order to justify random acts of murder. I am my friend's group's forever DM. After 6 months ago, a friend moved back to town after graduating college, which means that the friend group were all in the same place since, well, high school, which was pre-pandemic. We never really got into online D&D, so with everyone back in town, we decided to have another campaign. The returning friend rolled up a human rogue. The other relevant player would roll up a kobold cleric, and I, being a bit tired of DMing, ended up playing a half-elf sorcerer. When the party met in a classic town tavern intro scene to meet a knight's captain to get the first intro quest to get them to at least level 2. Right off the bat, the human rogue sees the kobold cleric and says, I didn't know this job involved a damn priest. Kobold explains that he's not a priest in the traditional sense, but an adventurer who met a god who grants him power. Rogue decided to let it go for now, but made it clear that he was watching him and his phony baloney gods. So the party finished their intro quest and decided to head to the coastal city-states to find out why monster activity is increasing and get paid handsomely to kill them. When they got to the nearest coastal city, they were granted by the city's grand priest, who was leading the city after the royal family was killed by a lich. Rogue ignored everything that was just explained and said, why the hell did they allow a freaking priest to run the city? The party and the priest tried to calm him down and he said, if you cross me, holy man, I'll send you to meet the gods you love so much. When the priest then took us to the temple to unveil a secret dungeon where a magic sword that once belonged to the lich lied, Rogue said, I bet you there's a trove of kids down that dungeon. We're dealing with a priest after all. Okay, well, the rogue clearly does not like priests or the clergy or something like that. I have no idea what the rogue is coming from. Are they pulling like the modern day priest touch kids thing into a fantasy game? The priest took offense at the allegation and told him that he isn't hiding in the dungeon. He can go investigate himself if he wants to. Rogue said, why, so you can kill us and keep your filthy secrets, you pedophile? We're all like, what the hell? But before we could respond, he said, I used sneak attack to kill that filthy pedophile priest. We all begged him to stand down, but it was too late. We now were locked in battle with the Grand Priest and his Knight's Order, homebrewed paladins. Keep in mind, we're all still level 2. The first 2 rounds made it abundantly clear that we were going to lose. We ended up fleeing the encounter, and 1 party member died in the process. Gee, good job, Rogue. Look at what you done. You decided to start problems. Well, there was no problems. You only had to do just go to town, kill some monsters, get handsomely paid. You guys are level 2. Seriously, it's not that difficult. Just do the job, get paid, get out of town, go to the next town. But no, we gotta create problems for no reason, out of nowhere. Cleric then lays into him, and the rest of the party agree and freak out that we are now fugitives and will likely have to watch our backs. Rogue then lambasts us for siding with the cleric and accuses him of being one and the same with the Grand Priest. He backs down when he realizes that the rest of the party stands with the cleric, but he does say, "You'd better watch yourself, holy man." We end up meeting our dead party member's new character, Ranger, and fleeing into a forest and getting surrounded by a group of orcs. That took us to the shaman, a half-orc and a really interesting character who we're all able to reason with. Turns out he's been working to discover the secret of the Lich as well. He invites us to the feast so that we can make alternative plans. Then at the feast, as we get seated, Rogue demands to roll perception. He says that this feels suspicious. He's probably setting us up to get killed Red Wedding style. When he rolls an at 1, DM says, "You don't notice anything." Despite this, once the shaman shows up, Rogue says, "I jump on the table and throw a surprise dagger in that freaking orc shaman's neck." The party says, "Can we try to stop him?" But unfortunately, it's sneak attack, so we can do nothing as he murders our only ally, except beg him not to out of game and ask him why. We remind him that he failed his perception check, so even if he was sus, he wasn't. His character would have no ability to know. The DM should probably allow the other players to step in or intervene, like, I don't know, roll something like athletics or acrobatics to try to get in front of the guy or whatever. I grab him and make sure he doesn't throw any stuff. I grab his hand and misdirect his dagger, or step in a way and get the dagger thrown at me or something. But he responds, he is an orc, and orcs are by definition savages who will struggle, snuggle, pillage, and murder anyone they can, especially given the fact that he's a shaman, which is basically a priest for uncivilized savages. And we all know what priests do to kids. My character would never stand for that. We all groan and roll our eyes, and he says, "I attack and show no mercy. All the savages must die." He unfortunately rolls a crit, which kills the orc shaman, who was a level 1. The party in-game freaked out and attempted to tackle him, but it was no use. The orc tribe wouldn't back down, so we had to flee, take a crap load of opportunity attacks, and get 3 other players killed. Now, this is the time that you say to the rogue player, "Hey, we're not cool with playing with you, get out," right? 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 No, of course not. You decide to let the rogue player stick around for whatever reason, because people decide to let the problem player just stick around, do whatever the hell they want for the problem player, so just remove the problem player initially. I mean, the guy is contributing nothing. So far, he's getting the party into trouble twice now, for no reason at all. And with his actions, got, what, 4 characters killed? Yeah, 4 characters just got killed because of this idiot. Now, it was just me, Cleric, and Rogue. Once we escaped, we told him that he had gone too far, that he needed to face consequences for his actions. Cleric told him that he must repent on his grave immoral behavior, and Rogue just couldn't help himself and said, "Silence, kid fricker," and attacked him. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know, dude. This video is gonna get, like, completely taken down. I immediately joined in to help Cleric, and as the other 3 players rolled up their characters, they jumped into the fight against Rogue as they finished their character sheets too, which Rogue accused them of metagaming, but they just laughed and basically said in the most ironic way, "It's what my character would do. We're bounty hunters, and you are a wanted man, my murderous friend." But the Rogue somehow ended up escaping, and DM unironically said, "Oh, I've always wanted to run a split party." Yikes. Dude, this DM is just as bad as the rogue player, because not only are they allowing the rogue to do whatever they want, they're like, "Ooh, splitting party, I always wanted to run that. Boy, howdy dowdy, let's start this chaos train going." What is the DM doing? What is the DM doing? They're just like, "Yeah, just keep going. I'm just gonna munch on this popcorn while I watch this disaster. This is so much good drama." Seriously, what's going on with the DM? That's where we're at right now. I have no idea how the DM is gonna run a split party with one renegade party member on his own, murdering religious figures, but on the bright side, at least he's not with us anymore. We can now, hopefully, actually progress through the story without him being with us, or rolling up another Edgelord. Great, now what you gotta do together is just tell the DM, hey, so this guy's basically out of the party, we don't want to have him in a party, we don't really care to have him in a game, can we remove him? Because he's contributing nothing at all to the adventure whatsoever in the slightest. He doesn't want to play with the people properly whatsoever. Find another DM out there that is willing to run a one-person game. Somebody out there will be willing to. I don't know who, but somebody out there will be willing to. Whatever you guys choose to do, I hope you get rid of the rogue, because they're not contributing, they don't want to play whatsoever, they don't want to participate, they want to be on their own, running around killing clergymen, because reasons, I guess, part of the backstory, I don't know. DM tells player to stop separating from the party, gets punished, and it escalates. Hey there, I've been reading horror stories for a while now, and I'd like to share something that happened to me, and decided to sign up for it. I know this isn't meant to be an AITA kind of thing, I just want some general advice on how I handle this, and to vent about the situation since it gets on my mind a lot. I won't say too much about our campaign or characters as they're not too relevant. Only one of the players, we'll call him Sean, not his real name. So to summarize as best as I can, this player had a bad habit of wandering off without telling anyone. For context, we're playing a VTT, a virtual tabletop, and I both create and use battle maps for character tokens to walk around. If you're role-playing out on scene, it might be 3 rooms over from where the party is, where I had events planned for RP out, but they become redundant because he doesn't bother waiting for other people. I made it very clear since session 2 that I heavily dislike this, but I didn't make it an official ruling as this is a TTRPG group of close friends. We're all mature adults and generally understand that if someone tells you to stop doing something because they don't like it, then stop doing it. Whenever I stated this habit of Sean with him wandering around, I made sure my dislike of it was very well known, told people to stop it, and throughout the campaign they did it anyway. In all fairness, most of the party did it, but Sean was the biggest repeat offender of this. The one really cool thing you can do in a VTT like Foundry is, let's say for example you have a bunch of rooms and doors and stuff, you can always just lock the doors so that players can't advance further without, you prompting it. I'm not saying to railroad you players, but if this guy is just going all over the place and it's not waiting for anybody at all, doesn't want to interact with RPs or any sort of moments at all, you might as well do that if that's the only solution you have, because clearly the guy's not going to listen whatsoever. If he doesn't listen at all to you saying, hey, maybe slow down, don't rush ahead, wait for everybody else, stop it you maniac, then I don't know any other solution. Just gotta lock him away, make sure they literally have a physical impasse until they learn, stick to the party. If denying the movement a couple of times teaches him to stick with the party instead, then maybe that'll work, I don't know. Now, try to be fair, but by session 9 or 10, he was still doing it. At this point, I was getting really peeved and decided to stop trying to be friendly and start hashing out punishments. The only circumstance I would allow separation is if the party stated it clearly, like, hey, while player 1 and player 2 is doing that, I'm going to go over to the next room over here to check what's in a closet. And that's fine with me. As long as the intention is communicated, I don't mind separation in that regard, or they want something more private without the players knowing. They would DM me their intentions. But Sean clearly did it whenever the scene didn't revolve around him when he was bored. Never bothered to communicate when he did. So when Sean inevitably did it again, I was prepared. I wrote notes that 2 NPC characters in discussion would have preferred to not be eardropped or rudely walked in upon if anyone wanted outside the room or got close to it, with passive insight or perception, which most of the party had a good number of. I would have easily let them know this. However, Sean, doing what he does best, waltzed right in on a meeting between 2 nobles that the party spent several sessions getting good rapport with, and I clearly stated that by doing this alone, they just lost all credibility with them due to lack of social etiquette of no knocking or thinking like he walks around like he owns the place. I made this punishment known publicly, reiterated my dislike of people wandering off. In this case, Sean did it when one of the players was having out-of-character issues with direction, so he clearly didn't bother to wait or cared about the party members having issues. DM, are you punishing everybody in the party or just Sean? Because here's the thing, right? I get your intention, but if this action that Sean's taken is going to screw everybody over, that sounds unfair to the other players. It's clearly a problem with Sean, then, it should be punishment for Sean. I don't know. I'm hoping the DM knows what they're doing, not going overboard with this, right? What happened next? Sean turned off his camera and stayed quiet for a good chunk of the session. A day later, I get a DM from him wanting to sort out what happened last session. And basically, he wrote in on the notion that everyone was punished for his mess up, and that he didn't know it was suddenly a rule. I explained my reasoning, i.e. to start a general deterrence to separation without communication, and that I've stated over a dozen times for people to stop doing it, and yet he did it anyway. He stuck hard to the point of, so you're gonna punish me for a rule I knew nothing about? I don't think it's fair to the other players. And I bounced back by saying, as a close group of friends, I would think that after stating my dislike of characters separating so many times, and as a close friend of mine, you'd respect me enough to stop doing it, but here we are. DM, the one thing that probably would have helped your case a little bit more in this situation is if you outright said, in the beginning of one of the sessions, alright, I would like to propose a new rule for our sessions. Please do not walk around, wander around, or separate from the party unless you clearly communicate the intention of your character doing so, whether they be in voice or in DM, so at least I know what is going on and what your character is trying to do. Because right now it kind of looks like you're implying that the friend should have read your mind. And now this turns from a problem of character to miscommunication at a disaster level. We butt heads for several minutes, but TLDR, I stuck hard on my point of deterrence, and that separation is okay if communicated, but doing it when others are already doing something else, a scene, or having issues isn't acceptable. He stuck hard on the point of it wasn't a rule, and we eventually agreed to disagree, and he said he'd drop out my game. I also made sure he knew that while he was the one that did the most, he wasn't the only one that did it, so this punishment served as a warning to the other players as well. No matter how much you dislike Sean's activity, he does have a point of this was not a rule. You need to establish it as a rule in order to communicate with everybody that this is the intended thing. You should probably establish it as a rule so that you have a point of contention to stick to, instead of just like, well, you didn't listen to me complaining about it before in session, so now this is your punishment kind of thing, because it's really difficult to put yourself as a good guy. It sounds like you're catching a friend in a gotcha moment. I get your attention, but this still feels like a gotcha moment. Close and shut, right? A bit of drama here and the game could proceed. Nope. I'm in other games with Sean as a player, and the GMs of those games had to cancel their games last minute because Sean communicated and said last minute he wasn't joining, that he is too tired from work or whatever excuse he made. A mutual friend told me that the real reason is because I'm in the game, that he can't be around me at that time. Which brings me to my second point. The same mutual friend in confidence told me a few things that really opened my eyes to how little Sean really respected me. He told me the following things. 1. He cheated his stats. Instead of rolling for them or doing standard array, he manually set them up. His balance, as he liked to call it, was doing 18, 16, 15, 14, 13, and 12. He did not communicate that he did this at all, and I went on his D&D Beyond sheet to confirm that he did in fact do this. My fault for not checking my player sheets, as I trusted them enough to not do anything like this. Apparently he did this in his other games as well. 2. Almost every week, if not every other week, Sean liked to have private VCs with some of our mutual friends. In those sessions, he always talked badly about me as a player and as a DM, and always threatened to leave my campaign. Now my character had no substance and that I put no real effort into them. I have a short attention span and I'm self-aware of that, but I try to RP and do my best as best I could. I got self-conscious thanks to this and even asked other players if they felt in a similar way, obviously without implicating Sean. They said that they had no issues, that maybe I was a bit reserved sometimes, not a problem player by any means or hard to interact with. I trusted these friends to tell me the truth if they felt differently, since some of them have a no BS attitude. I really felt hurt by this. If Sean had such an issue with the campaigns in session 1, why not communicate that to me? Okay, so if this is true, then it seems like Sean gave you a way out, so you don't have to deal with a problem player and a crappy friend that talks behind your back, because anybody that talks behind your back is simply not worth having you around. If you can't hash out any sort of issues, or they start taking issues with your character or DMing style without trying to create a solution, and they just want to spend time to badmouth you on like, oh, you played so bad in D&D, did you see his character? He did this and that, what an idiot! That makes you a jerk, dude. That doesn't make you do anything better. If you have feedback for somebody like DMing style, or you think someone's player could be more open, less reserved and stuff, to become more engaged on roleplay or something, that's one thing, but sitting around Discord just to badmouth somebody so you can feel better about yourself, that just makes you look like a complete and utter dickhead. To me, Sean felt incredibly two-faced at this point. At first, after our argument about the separation from the party, it did leave a bad taste in our mouths, but we did agree that we could eventually move on from it, even if he didn't agree with what I did. Now, I just feel like I want nothing to do with him. There are admittedly other underlying issues with him from IRL that I'm critical of, but we were always good friends and mindful of each other's flaws. But after finding all this out, I took several days to really think about what to do next. Because of the point 2 above, I already know that he is a gossiper, had a good feeling that he had tried to stir the pot with our mutual friends, both in-game I'm playing and the game I'm GMing. Told my mutual friends that I'd like to broadcast a general message that instead of giving Sean a chance to formally quit, that I would kick him instead. Then I messaged every player an explanation of why, mainly about the separation aspect and him talking behind my back and disrespecting me. Mutual friend was reluctant initially, but when I put the message into writing, he also started to realize how toxic Sean really was. The word toxic being his own words. With his permission to share what he told me in confidence, I kicked Sean, and the message was sent. Not even 2 hours later, Sean launched right into my DMs, demanding an apology for calling him a toxic player in my written message and airing that out to everyone. I decided to try and talk with him instead of just getting into an argument with him, that I found out he's cheating his stats, finding out that he talked badly about me in such a negative way behind my back and not communicating these issues to me instead. That I did have other reasons, mainly the IRL flaws I mentioned earlier, but I don't want to turn this into a blame shift. Just that we both messed up in ways that I should have been a better DM about separation or made an actual rule just for the sake of closure for both of us. In the heat of the moment, I really want us to be friends again. I caved in from stern DM to being a friend again so easily, but I realized I don't hate Sean, I just want him to be better about what he did so it doesn't happen again. But that changed quickly when he apologized back. 1. That he never was rude about his issue, that he's sorry that I found out the way I did, and that I should have never found out at all. Jesus Christ, that's the worst apology ever, dude. That's the worst apology ever. I'm sorry you found out that I've been bad-mouthing and trash-talking you behind your back to other people. I'm sorry you found out. Jesus Christ, what a terrible apology to make. 2. That in regards to the character stats, he's done it with every other game, and it shouldn't be a surprise that he did it in my game, despite the fact that I made it clear in Session 0 that players can only do standard array rolling for stats via D&D Beyond. But you can see how it can be considered cheating. Dude, that's terrible. 2 for 2 terrible apologies. People should be surprised that I'm doing this. This is just what I do in every game. I'm not at fault here. The fault lies with everybody else but me. 3. That he is sorry for not just talking to me about his issues. He's not sorry. He's been bad-mouthing you behind your back, dude. He even admitted that he bad-mouthed you behind your back. He's not sorry at all. He is sorry that he got caught. That's the only thing he's sorry about. It felt like to me only the 3rd point was the closest thing to an apology, but he downplayed the other 2 parts. I didn't get any closure from his side of us trying to make out. So when I went back to our mutual friend again just to make sure I'm not losing my sanity or I wasn't just being dramatic, he felt the same thing. There's no closure that he won't do it again. Ignore him. And with that, I just did. I left him on red, and the last thing I heard is that some people are distancing away from him now, as our talk together spread around eventually, that he went from having 4 games a week to only 1 per week. I don't know, a part of me feels like it could have been handled so much better, that I could have done better both as a friend and as a DM. This felt really blown over for something so stupidly small and simple, that it really shouldn't have escalated as it did, and I genuinely didn't help in that regard. I'm open to everything. If I was a jerk, let me have it. I just need another opinion on this. I want to improve so something like this doesn't happen again. He's cheating in your games, right, that he didn't talk to you about whatsoever. He's bad-mouthing you behind your back anytime, and he's threatening to leave your game, whatever. And as soon as you try to talk to him about the general rule, which you mentioned multiple times, I had a several discussion. Like, I think the only fault you really had is that you didn't establish as a ground rule, don't separate unless communicated to do so. That was really your problem here. Clearly, if by session 9 and 10 he doesn't get that, hey, maybe I shouldn't separate, clearly the problem is something a little bit more than communication or lack thereof. The guy just doesn't care. He doesn't care. He like, his apologies, he's sorry that he got caught, basically. He's sorry that he got caught. It's always good to self-reflect on your own actions and stuff, but you also gotta remember that Sean is only sorry that he got caught. Otherwise, he doesn't seem like he cares in the slightest whatsoever. Anyway, that's my point on this. What do y'all think? In the comment section below, let us know. Is the DM a jerk in some way? Is there ways that could have improved, could have avoided the situation? Or is Sean really is the crux of the big problem here? Let me know in the comment section below. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.